Hello, callers. Welcome to Viva Barca and welcome to another interesting episode where we are going to be discussing on the latest developing stories. We start with Ousmane Dembele as the Barcelona attacker could become the fourth captain next season as Busquets nears his exit. Then, secondly, we are going to be talking about this report claiming that Barcelona have held talks with La Liga defensive player, this guy who plays in Villarreal, Paul Torres. They have spoken with his agent about a possible transfer. We are also going to be discussing on that. So guys, as we get right into it in more detail, please do ensure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Turn on the post bell notification to always stay notified whenever I post a new video. Consider liking the video and please watch it right up to the very end. Barcelona have been experiencing a rough time lately. If the sudden news of Matteo Alemani's exit was not enough, the club had dealt with another blow yesterday with Spanish media reporting that Busquets desire to leave the club at the end of the season. Busquets' departure will leave a large gaping hole in the Barcelona midfield, forcing the club to enter the market for a replacement. The club have already identified a few options, though Martin Zubimendi has still remained the wet dream of coach Xavi Hernandez. Nevertheless, Busquets' exit will also create a leadership hole. The veteran midfielder is currently the first captain of the club, followed by Sergio Roberto, Jordi Alba, and Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. In that order, should Busquets depart, Roberto will assume the role of the first captain, followed by Alba and Ter Stegen, with the fourth captain slot becoming vacant. And according to Sport, one of the options being considered by the Barcelona board is Ousmane Dembele. The Frenchman, who had joined the club back in 2017, has emerged as one of the Barcelona's most consistent performers since the start of 2022. He has performed exceptionally well in the final third, emerging as a creative force in the Barca team. It is no secret that Xavi rates Dembele quite highly, which is why his name will be nominated for the position of Barcelona's fourth captain next month. However, the former Dortmund starlet is not the only candidate. The club are also considering the option of Robert Lewandowski and Ronald Araujo, two key players in Xavi's system. Araujo lacks the relative experience of the other three captains, but he is a dominant figure at the back and could become the face of the Barca defense in the years to come. Lewandowski, meanwhile, had only joined the club last summer, but his experience and pedigree are unquestionable. Therefore, it will be interesting to see who ends up becoming the fourth Barcelona captain next season. Of course, Busquets leaving the club, I knew that this topic would make the media hot. Of course, who will be the next captain of Barca? And being a captain is not all about longevity. Some people think that it must be the fact that the longer you have stayed, then you should be captain. That is how, yeah, it's true for Barca's point of view because we have seen that Barca put their captains on how they stay, especially when we look at the current captains that we have. Busquets have been there, the oldest, followed by Roberto, followed by Alba, and followed by Ter Stegen. But it is clear that Barca want to deviate from such a role, because if we're talking about other players like Lewandowski or Ronald Araujo becoming potential captains of the club as Busquets will be no more, it definitely means Barca are trying to put captain not based on the longevity. Just imagine they put Lewandowski the fourth captain of the club. It means it all matters the experience or the leadership skills that the player has. It's not all about the longevity, like how Barca have been using such a criteria to name their captain. So normally, as Busquets is leaving the club, the second in line, which is Sergio Roberto, will take over as first captain next season. Even though Roberto is another player whose future is still very uncertain. Xavi has been pressing so much for the player to renew his contract, and of course, even though honestly, that's a guy who have been on and off for about 3 seasons in a row, and Barcelona are now looking back for a fourth captain, considering that Roberto stays at the club and also Alba stays at the club. Then, of course, Ter Stegen being the third choice captain, the fourth captain now needs to be filled, which means there's a void. So I've been talking about Dembele, talking about Araujo and Robert Lewandowski, who, according to reports, the dressing room will vote for who should be the fourth captain for next season. Then on to the final story of discussion. Shortly after Sergio Busquets' desire to leave the club at the end of the season was revealed, Barcelona had talks with the agents of another veteran player, Jordi Alba, discussing the prospects of a mutually agreed contract termination this coming summer. Barcelona could owe Jordi Alba a figure for up to €38 million next season. Due to past deferred payments, the club are not in a position to pay such a fortune, which has led them considering a summer exit for Jordi Alba. However, as reported by Spanish expert Helena Condes, Jordi Alba's future was not the only thing on the agenda for Barcelona. It appears the club's officials had also discussed another player such as Hugo and Pau Torres. Both defenders are represented by the same agency of Alba, which allowed Barcelona to talk about their future and the possibility of incorporating them into the first team in the future. Barcelona already have a deal wrapped up for veteran Inigo Martinez this coming summer, but with Eric Garcia facing an uncertain future, the club may fancy signing another top-class centre-back that can compete with the likes of Andres Christensen, Ronald Araujo, and Jules Koundé. That is where Pau Torres and Guillamon comes into the fray. Both have substantial experience in Spanish football, having become first-team regulars for their respective teams in recent years. Pau Torres in particular has been a target for Barca for quite some time now. However, luring the Spanish international to the Camp Nou could be a tricky affair. His club Villarreal have not appeared all too keen on opening up economic solutions for Barcelona during negotiations over top target Joan Foyt. Although Pau Torres' current contract expires in 2024, Barcelona are unlikely to be able to afford the Villarreal star. Hence, the club must continue to prioritize their top targets such as a new right-back and Lionel Messi. As for Guillamon, he could also be an option for the defensive midfield position set by a vacated Busquets, having successfully transitioned from centre-back to a number 6 at Valencia. But with names such as Sofian Amrabat and Martin Zubimendi at the top of the wish list, it remains to be seen if Barca do take a serious interest in the 23-year-old. So guys, with that, we have come to an end of this episode. Thanks a lot for watching. Until next time, bye bye.